The unabated attacks by insurgents in the northeast has continued to increase the numbers of internally displaced persons in the country. The National Emergency Management Agency is charged with the responsibility of managing the camps. This week's edition of the programs features the Director General of NEMA. Hello there and welcome to the program. This week, I'm Gloria Umezuke. The number of internally displaced persons from the Northeast is estimated to have exceeded 400,000. We'll be looking at how the federal government is managing the situation. Well, there's also a report on the rising burden of internally displaced persons. But up ahead, federal lawmakers are lamenting the possible disenfranchisement of internally displaced persons as the nation heads for the 2015 general election.
It's bad enough that these Nigerians have become refugees in their own country, but they may not be able to exercise their right to vote in the upcoming general elections. Such is the plight of thousands of internally displaced persons scattered across Nigeria and neighboring countries. The mayhem caused by Boko Haram and other terrorist groups have led these and many other Nigerians to seek solace in camps such as these. A federal lawmaker drew the attention of the Senate to the possible disenfranchisement of internally displaced persons.
You will all agree with me, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, that if elections are to be conducted in the northeast of the country, many voters will not participate because the entire area is deserted and the people are spread across refugees camps in different parts of the country. What this bill seeks, therefore, is for independent National Electoral Commission to establish special polling units for internally displaced persons in their respective camps nationwide to ensure their enfranchisement.
Although some lawmakers supported the call for internally displaced persons to exercise their right to vote, they rejected the amendment of the Electoral Act.
I am not opposing the establishment of polling units for internally displaced persons, but I'm saying that there is no need to make a law because the Act as it is has authorized and given them the discretion so to.
I do not think this particular lawmaking is going to cure what we are anticipating. This thing has to be an administrative mechanism, and that it should be a directive of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria directing INEC to, with immediate effect, set up these polling units in those displaced areas, and the committee will make sure that before election, these centers have polling units, rather than this law.
The Senate consequently asked INEC to make use of every administrative means possible to ensure that internally displaced persons exercise their rights to vote in the 2015 general elections.
Now, the challenge of the IDP camps all over Nigeria, especially in the northeast, is becoming increasing and worrisome. Now, joining me now to expatiate on this is Mr. Muhammed Sani-Sidi. Mr. Muhammed Sani-Sidi, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's begin now with knowing the number of internally displaced persons that we have in the country. Sometime in October 2014, you announced a figure of over 740,000. What really is the actual figure right now?
Well, I must say that we need to understand the nature of displacement first. Usually, the nature of displacement in Nigeria is usually multifaceted, complex, and at times even overlapping. But the nature of displacement that we are dealing with in this context is the insurgency. You recall in 2012 we have displacements as a result of natural disaster, which was flooding. But now we are confronted with the displacement as a result of the insurgency attack, especially in the northeastern part of the country. The state of Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe State, and of course pockets of attack that you have in some other state in the north, which the resultant effect is the displacement. The displacement figure is not easy to just mention a figure of displacement because for one reason, it's dynamic, it keeps changes, but the current displacement as of today is put up about 899 or thereabout across the country.
So it's actually risen since October when you last announced?
Yeah, it has. And you're also aware that we have about 10% of those that are displaced that are living in the formal camp. But majority of those that have been displaced are actually living within the host communities.
Interesting. So how do you really come up with a figure like this? Because I know when we ask other agencies, there's this conflict about how many really there are, and maybe some of them just might say that we can't come up with an exact figure, but it's easy for NEMA to do that.
Yes, because we are an agency that is responsible for coordination and management of emergency in this country, and our figures can be scientifically verifiable. We are working with a structure that has been put in place. We work with the State Emergency Management Agency at the state level, the Local Government Emergency Management Committee at the local government level, and we work with other agencies, United Nations agencies like the IOM. Recently, we have carried out an assessment and verification of the figures with the support of the IOM. So we have these figures, and these figures are verifiable. But like I said, these figures keep changing because it's dynamic, it's fluid, so you can never have same figure all the time.
How are you able to manage, these unfortunate incidences that come up every other time? We
are faced with complex emergency in this country. The issue of insurgency and other communal crises which witnessed in some part of the country, insurgency in the northeast, communal clashes and other conflicts in some part of north central and other part of the country. Human beings must cohabit with emergencies and disaster management. Therefore, as an agency of government, we try to respond whenever such situation arises.
Are there camps in Abuja?
There are no formal camp that has been established in Abuja. What you have is settlements of people that call themselves displaced persons from the northeast. You see, we are having a very big challenge on the issue of IDPs in Abuja because our understanding is we have formal camps, we have 10 camps, 10 formal camps that has been established by the agency in collaboration with the state government of Adamawa in Yola. We have about 15 camps currently in Borno State. We do not have any formal camp in Yobe State. So, and we have camp in Gombe State. So our thinking is, if you are actually displaced in Goza or any other part of the northeast, the ideal thing to do is to go to the camp nearest to your state. But now we are faced with a situation where you have large number of people who call themselves displaced persons and are now living in the Federal Capital Territory of Abuja.
Did you say who call themselves?
Well, it's subject to verification. Who are those people? Where are they coming from? And why do they have to come to Abuja? Why don't they go to Yola? Why don't they go to Borno where we have camps, where they are being adequately taken care of? So, but the situation as we find ourselves, what we have done is we are working with the administration of the Federal Capital Territory, with other security agencies to ensure that we bring all those who said they are IDPs from the northeast and are now living in Abuja, we bring them to a camp, a formal camp that will be established by the Federal Capital Territory in collaboration with with NEMA and other agencies to ensure that we harmonize our responses. We know who they are, we profile them, we register them, so that if there is going to be any assistance, it will be done in a harmonized and coordinated manner. That is what we are trying to do. And looking at other security implications.
So these plans you're speaking about, they are still in the offing?
Yes, it takes time to plan. to have the location. Where are you going to have it? The Federal Capital Authority must give us a place to put them. And then the security agency must also be comfortable with where we are going to keep these people. And then we must have mechanism to be put in place to ensure that they are adequately taken care of.
How many
but
of them?
What we have done in the interim is to continuously provide them with support, both food and non-food items. We have done that. You are a living witness.
How many of them?
The point is, you can only work on estimate, because you need to really do profiling, you need to do registration to determine who is actually a displaced person from the Northeast.
What is your estimate right now? I'm talking about those in Abuja.
I cannot give you an accurate estimate of, accurate figure of those who are displaced in Abuja, because like I said, there are other factors that have come to play.
Okay, it becomes worrisome because, given the situation at hand right now, we have the insurgency matter. We don't know who the members of the sect might be. So they just come in form of ordinary people. And so it's rather dangerous, if we begin to wonder at, are these displaced persons or not? Are these this or not? And at the end of the day, we end up having strange faces amongst them. How are you able to decipher who is who?
You see, if you are talking about displaced persons in the FCT, yes. Like I said, our concern was that these people have to move all the way from Borno State to come to Abuja to settle as displaced persons. Governments have established camps in the states where they came from, But since they are in Abuja, and they have the right to settle anywhere as Nigerians, freedom of movement is enshrined in our constitution. They have the right to settle anywhere, any part of the country they choose to. So we respect that. But we have to be sure, we have to profile them, we have to register them, and that process is ongoing. And by the time the Federal Capital Territory, provide a suitable place, then we establish a formal camp, and then we have a control, and we know who is a displaced person as a result of the insurgency, and who are the other people who says they are displaced. Is it because of their economic status or what? So we need to really identify that.
When is that likely to